Ever since the episode where Boruto fought Hanabi, there have been a lot of people shipping the pairing of Boruto and Hanabi. You had some people who said the idea of Boruto being in a relationship with his aunt was flat out weird. You had others who said there was an obvious chemistry between the two, even going so far as to say that they look adorable together. Well, in today's video, I'm going to explain why the people who ship Boruto and Hanabi aren't exactly crazy to do so. Before I go any further, I'd just like to say that Boruto and Hanabi isn't the first quote odd end quote pairing that we've seen in Naruto. Back when the Naruto manga was running, a lot, and I mean a lot, of Japanese fans shipped Naruto in a relationship with his mother Kushina and with his cousin Karin. Others shipped Neji and Hinata. A lot of us in the West wouldn't have considered this pairing. However, this is because our cultures are different. Now, let's move on to Boruto and Hanabi, the pairing between nephew and aunt. A lot of people feel as if this is the reason that these two should not be together. However, this is where the divide between Western audiences and Japanese really begins to become apparent. In a lot of Western cultures, incest of any kind is seen as taboo and it isn't allowed under any circumstances. However, in Japanese culture, this isn't exactly the case. For instance, relations between relatives, like cousins, isn't seen as being illegal. Looking at the Naruto manga, there have been subtle hints of incest in the series. For instance, the Uzumaki clan predominantly have red hair. In fact, red hair is the defining characteristic of an Uzumaki, yet in genetics, red hair is seen as a recessive trait. Unless every Uzumaki with red hair, which is nearly all of them, hit the genetic lottery, this hints at incest. Even if you have two people who have red hair and they have a child, if one of them has a genetic allele for another hair color like blonde or brown, then the chances of the child having red hair becomes very slim. In fact, depending on the selection of a mate for that child, the allele that carries the recessive trait for red hair could be wiped out from the genetic bloodline in general. This brings us back to Boruto and Hanabi. Part of the reason why in ancient Japan, marriage between cousins and relatives was promoted by clans, it was done for two reasons. One, it allowed for specific genes unique to the clan to be passed on to the next generation, since both parents would have it. So for instance, in the Naruto verse, this would include the Byakugan and the Sharingan. Also, depending on which branch of the family was paired together, issues with inbreeding could be avoided outright altogether, since the person would have enough foreign genes in their body to offset this, especially if there was an instance where an outsider who had desirable genes was allowed to marry within the clan to strengthen the clan's bloodline. Boruto and Hanabi, though nephew and aunt, could enter into relations with each other without having any issues. It isn't illegal to have what we in the West view as an incestual relation with a family member, even in this case of aunt and nephew. In fact, the Civil Code of Japan places restrictions on family marriages, but not the act of having sexual relations with a family member, even allowing for two people in this circumstance to have a child. However, it is worth noting that this isn't something that's widespread in Japan, so I don't want to mislead somebody into thinking that this is the case. Finally, taking all of this into account, if Boruto and Hanabi were to enter into a relationship, Boruto would have enough foreign genes inside of him that it would offset the issues of inbreeding, since he would be mating with his mother's sister, but Boruto is a quarter Uzumaki and a quarter Namikaze. I know that this video turned into more of a discussion on clan intermarriage and the discussions between Western and Japanese culture on incest, but it was needed in order to look at why the pairing of the discussion between Boruto and Hanabi has arisen. While I personally don't ship these two together, I did want to point out why this pairing seems to be picking up a lot of traction, especially the further east you go. So what did you guys think? Do you ship Boruto and Hanabi together? Would you like to see more videos on the dynamics that were hidden in the Naruto verse? If you're new, make sure you subscribe and join the Saiyan Empire, and don't forget to share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.